Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot and Astrology. I apologize for my voice. I've had some really tiring days, and I just took a 2-hour nap, and I woke up, and I thought I'm going to do this, even though I sound really croaky, I know. It's funny because I listened to a couple different astrologers because, you know, there's never just one way to interpret the energies. I mean, there's certain things that are just true, but every astrologer has a little different take on it. So I look at the planets and then I listen to other people and see what they're saying. Anyway, and she said something about having trouble sleeping, and I went, four nights. Is it 4 nights, really? Yeah, 4 nights where I only slept 2 hours a night. It was dreadful. Anyway, I'm still recovering, so thank goodness it's better. But I just wanted to say that I meant to do this earlier because I've missed the solstice and a bunch of stuff happened. So I'm going to recap briefly, and then I will timestamp when the cards start. And I'm going to start off with a brief quote, just very brief if I can. And this was from the astrologer April. Excuse me, I may not be able to do this. Maybe I can't. April's Arcana. She said, it's an affirmation, and she said, excuse me, I move at the speed of trust. I thought, I love that. That's beautiful. I should have brought my water in here with me. Anyway, so we had the sun move into Capricorn on the 20th or the 21st, depending on where you're at. Excuse me, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year here in the northern hemisphere. And we also had, oh, this is, not sure I can do this. We also had the sun squaring Neptune. That was on the 20th. And Venus was squaring Saturn. So you could have had some, could have been some kind of tough communications, and not communications, but relationship issues. And some difficult times where you just felt like you couldn't get what you wanted, and stuff, everything was against you, and just that uphill battle feeling. You probably had to be rather flexible, hopefully, because pushing through squares with Neptune just doesn't seem to work. Okay, and so now we've got Jupiter still squaring Chiron. I talked about that before. I just wanted to say one thing about that. So, you know, Jupiter's in Cancer, bringing up all this stuff from childhood and emotional wounds, and not necessarily wounds, but when it's retrograde in Cancer, it can take you back to your childhood and kind of just ponder what happened and how you were nurtured and what your needs are. So it doesn't have to be bad. It can be very healing. And it was squaring Chiron, the wounded healer, and it just dawned on me. I can't remember the name of the card I pulled, but it was an oracle card about the warrior. And I thought, oh, that's because Chiron's in Aries, and Aries is the warrior, and Mars is really, which rules Aries. So I think we're going through a really healing period right now, and that square lasts from like December 18th through December 27th. So that's a long one. And I think I wrote down here that this is the second time they've been square, because Chiron's been retrograde for ages in Aries, and Jupiter's still retrograde in Cancer. And I think they're going to square again, but I didn't write down the date. But the last time they squared was October 23rd of 2025. So I don't know if anything felt off then. I did write down when Chiron finally moves into Taurus, and maybe I've said this before, but Chiron's been in Aries, which is our self-identity, Chiron, the wounded healer, since February 18th of 2019, and actually was dipping in 2018 a couple of times for like 5 months, and doesn't move into Taurus and stay there until June of 2026. So I may have said that already. Anyway, I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'm a little tired of working on myself. I don't know. Chiron goes direct on January 2nd of 2026. I think that's going to help too. So, and on the 20th, which I missed because December 20th is over, but this is, you know, still appropriate, Black Moon Lilith finally moved out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius. Yeah. And she stays about 9 months in each sign. So that's going to be interesting. So we're done digging in the subconscious, and revealing parts of ourselves that were hidden, or, well, we're not done because that's what she does for a living. But at least it's not going to be quite so intense. So now she's in Sagittarius now. The things that she discovered in the shadows probably come out a little bit more, but in a good way, because she's very rebellious. She wants to bring up the places that weren't accepted. And so I think they're going to be a little more on the surface, and we get to express them perhaps and have a broader view of them. And hopefully we don't overindulge them. I don't think we will. But anyway, that's going to be, I think, a little less oppressive, a little less intense, I think. Although Sagittarius is quite intense and passionate, but it's going to be just a brighter kind of passion. So there's that. And I'm not going to talk about this tonight because I'm hoping to post again, although I just realized this is actually the 23rd because it's after midnight. And so on the 23rd, Venus is exactly squaring Neptune. She is in Sagittarius. Neptune is in Pisces. They're both mutable signs. And so here we go with vague, illusory, not communication, I keep saying that, relationship, like what you want in relationships, you can't grab hold of it. It's like a slippery eel, it's just, there can be illusions. I think I'll do a separate reading on that because I wasn't really thinking about that, because I want to do a relationship reading. So I will try to do that, tomorrow night or the next night, because that's going to last a while. Okay, so I pulled these cards actually last night, and then I was really tired, as if I'm not tired tonight. I know I sound horrible, because I couldn't figure out the pattern. I knew there was a pattern. This is the Wildwood Tarot, and they have a little bit different meaning, and I knew there was a pattern, and so I came in here tonight, and I thought, I'm going to put them away and draw different cards, and I thought, no, you're going to sit here until you figure out the pattern. I think I did. You tell me. I think they're like, it's kind of like the difficult part. It's kind of like where we are and where we've been, then what we're moving toward with the healing. So it's kind of like, we're kind of in the middle between, okay, they're two opposites. I'll just start. So for example, the first card I drew is the World Tree. I hope you can see these. The World Tree, which is appropriate because I keep talking. I feel like a broken record, but the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at the tail end of the zodiac is very, very potent, and it is literally closing out a cycle and starting a new one. We haven't started the new one yet, but we have kind of one foot over the line. So this is exactly what this is. It's the beginning and the end. It's the last card of the major arcana. Our world is literally changing. And an old cycle is closing out and a new one's beginning. So there's that. And then this one came after it, and I was like, what? I didn't get it at first, but now I get it because there's a pattern here. So this is what comes when we close this one out. So it's like we're moving out of this one. We're at the tail end. We're still in this, but it's kind of leaving, and we're moving into this. This is finding our purpose and finding meaning, which is all about, Sagittarius, where the sun is now. No, it isn't. It just moved into Capricorn. Well, we have Venus and Mercury and Mars, I think. Am I right? I hope I'm right. Let me look over here. Yeah. No, Mars is in Capricorn with the sun. Okay. Well, we have Mercury and Venus there. Anyway, we had a lot of Sagittarius energy. But this is about finding meaning and purpose and getting in touch with yourself, your heart chakra, and who you really are and what you want to do with your energy. How do you want to express yourself going forward? Excuse me. So I see this as the next step. It's like we move out of this, and again, we're not done with it totally, but we're moving away from, things are changing. Now that the sun's in Capricorn, this is going to start to unfold, the new chapter. And it connects us with our meaning and purpose. That's great. Okay, then I drew the Five of Stones, which is the equivalent of the Five of Pentacles. And this is where you go it alone, endurance. This hasn't been easy. You probably feel like you've been doing everything yourself. There's been a feeling of either isolation, either physically or emotionally. And things have just been kind of tough. You've kind of been, hanging on, saying, I can do this. It's not been easy. But we're still here. We're still here, but we're moving away from that, and it's transforming into the Four of Stones. So look at the similarity here. Took me a while it's very similar. So this is someone, this is us, sort of in the cave by ourselves, going it alone. Things are a little tough. I can't think of the word I want, but it's not bereft, but it's like, we don't have much to work with, and yet we have everything to work with. But it just feels kind of barren a bit, and, she's doing her best. And then look at the difference here. It's a similar, why can't I think of the word? Not situation, but environment. And yet this is about feeling protected and safe rather than isolated and challenged. So I think this is what this is, we've been so long looking at the underside with all the Scorpio energy, and now we're integrating some of that Sagittarius energy, and finally some of the planets moving into Capricorn. We get some stability. And so we're looking around thinking, okay, yeah, I guess this place isn't so bad, actually. I'm starting to feel at home here with myself and with my environment. And then I drew the Two of Arrows, which is the Two of Swords. It's a little different in this deck. It's called Injustice. So this has been where we've been feeling like, things aren't fair, things are difficult. The karmic summing up where we're kind of looking at, when you think about, I keep interrupting myself, when you think about closing out a cycle, sometimes it's easy to focus on the negative things that have happened. And why was because this thing, Chiron has been in Aries since, 2019, and in fact dipped in some in 2018. We've been through a long cycle of healing our wounds, the wounds that affect our self-identity. And so this is, it's not so much about a choice. It's about no matter which way I go, I run into injustice. But look what it turns into. Balance. And this is the major arcana. This is the equivalent of the Justice card, I think. Yeah, what else would it be? I need to memorize these. But anyway, there's a definite, with the scales here, this is definitely connected to balance, because she's, it reminds me of the Egyptian, who's the guy that weighs your heart? Anubis? The jackal-headed, I shouldn't call him a guy. I should give him more respect than that. But the jackal-headed archetype, we'll call him God, whatever, in Egyptian mythology, who weighs your heart against a feather. This is interesting. It's like she's weighing gold. I'm thinking, is that meant to be worldly substance, or is it meant to be the gold of her soul? Makes me think of alchemy, turning lead into gold, which is, of course, turning Saturn into the sun. They didn't literally. I suppose some of them may have thought they were literally going to turn lead into gold, but it was mostly a psychological, spiritual battle, or not battle, transformation. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. I just noticed they got these are Celtic cards. They got the green man at the top here. So we go from feeling like the karma is totally unfair and we don't know which way to go with it. And then look, we're able to take the two opposites and be okay in the middle, and they become balance rather than injustice. So we reach some kind of an equilibrium. We still have the two opposites to contend with, and we always will, but we're okay with that now. We're in the center. We're centered. We're balanced. Yay! I'll take it. I'll take it. Then I drew the 7 of arrows, which is the 7 of swords. And again, in this deck, it's a little different. It's called insecurity. So this is like the Black Moon, Lilith, and Scorpio energy, where the parts of ourselves that we didn't really know what to do with, that we may have even blamed some of our karma and our, our isolation on, and our injustice. We might have said, oh, that was my fault. I'm not good enough, or I didn't do this right, or, I'm frightened, or I'm not, I feel ashamed. I did this wrong, and I'm being attacked for it. Life isn't fair because there's a definite feeling here of the arrows of outrageous misfortune are because we did something wrong, or we're not good enough. There's that feeling coming up. And then look what it turns into. The Page of Vessels, the Page of Cups. Now, you might not think this is a great card, but actually it is, because this is feeling, it's just the page, so it's just starting out, but it's a gift, and it's connecting with the inner emotion. It's having self-compassion. Sorry, I'm struggling for words tonight. It's having self-compassion. It's getting in touch with yes, it's a basic part of ourselves, but look, he's an otter and he's on the river. He's in his element. Again, just like the deer and the what do you call those? I know what those are called. I was going to say a menor. That's the top thing. Like a megalith. The standing stones. Whoops. So he's in his element. And it's like getting in touch with the part of us that is very caring and compassionate. And I think it's about being compassionate toward ourselves to make up for the oh, woe is me, the Black Moon Lilith stuff that's been coming up, and telling us, where we've done everything wrong. And now we get to say, I'm starting fresh. I feel like an emotional cleansing, an emotional connection, a gift, compassion. Let me see if there's anything in the book. I feel like I'm missing a word. There's a word I want to say, and this book is weird, and it's hard for me to... Okay, they're out of order. Am I missing anything? Loyalty, devotion, study, willingness to serve, vision and contemplation, cooperation and perceptiveness. And it says the questions involved are, where do you need to let your feelings show? Who is getting closer to you? What deeper trust is being asked of you? I think we're getting closer to ourselves. And again, with this Venus-Neptune aspect, I want to do a relationship thing. I will do that hopefully tomorrow night. Okay, so that's good. Then I, just quickly, I drew 2 of the Shaman's Dream cards. And I got straddling worlds, wandering between realms. Yes, that's absolutely true. That's the, the Saturn-Neptune energy, the tail end of Pisces closing out. I just want to read one quick thing. It says, I've chosen this one before. It says, when the straddling worlds card shows up, it's an invitation to get used to living with one foot in your old world and one foot in the new. There is no going back to the way things once were, and what will be is not yet fully here. That's true, but it is starting to come out, or we wouldn't have the sun, and it is starting to come out. You are the birther of new ideas, of original and sustainable ways of being in the world. Yes. And then this one came out too, which is really appropriate for the winter solstice. I thought, oh, okay, that's lovely. I love, is that a snail shell? I collect snail shells, so I should know. It is, but it also looks like something you see at the ocean. Is it a cochlear? Oh, no, never mind. That's in your ear. I don't know what I'm talking about. Winter's dream, gestation period. Well, clearly is telling us that, you know, we're not going to jump right into the new, as I've been saying, and as we probably all know. This says gestation period, sanctuary, which reminds me of that deer in the Four of Stones, conscious awareness. And sometimes these cards bug me because they'll say something with a, you know, they'll tell you to do something and put an exclamation point at the end. I hate being bossed around. I don't like that. But it does say this, allow the clarity and transparency that comes with winter's dream to permeate your heart and soul. The time for action will come later. Remember that all things are born of dreams, and your task is to wake up within the dream to lucidly guide it to your chosen destination. So it's warning us about, like, don't get so complacent that you fall asleep. We are waking up. It's just that we're not going to be rushing out, you know, and Rome wasn't built in a day. We're not going to be doing that. But we are starting to process, you know, all this stuff that's been going on internally and everything. And although we're still straddling worlds, I think the, you know, the sun's starting to shine. We're starting to see glimmers of what's coming, even though it's not quite birthed yet, but it will be, especially when we hit, you know, well, 2026 is going to be, I'd say by the spring of 2026, things are really going to be moving. So that's what I have for you tonight. Sorry, I'm a little late with these, but again, I want to post a relationship thing for this Sun Square Neptune. So hopefully I'll do that tomorrow night or the next night. In the meantime, I hope everybody had a good solstice, and please leave me a comment, hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons, and I will talk to you later. Blessings. Good night.